Hey guys, it's Sarah here with my first public Game of Thrones theory. Just to warn everyone, there will be spoilers from all of the book stuff, show stuff, and some of George R.R. Martin's other short stories, specifically Dunk and Egg stories. So, in Season 6, Episode 5, the latest episode to air, we meet Kinvara, a Red Priestess in Meereen. While speaking with Tyrion and Varys, she has a bit where she recounts to Varys how he was castrated and asks him if he remembers hearing a voice from the flames. Now, I don't know about how you interpreted this scene, but the way I interpreted it was that the Red Priestess was implying the voice from the flames was her god, R'hllor. What I find even more interesting about this is that we know that there's immense power in Kingsblood for the Red God and sacrifices made to him. So if Varys' sacrifice could evoke actual speech from the flames, I think this would imply he has powerful blood, and possibly King's blood. Now, this isn't any new groundbreaking theory or anything like that, because others have theorized about this before, with just the fact that his body was used for blood magic in the first place, which we learned from the books. There's also circumstantial evidence that point towards Varys being a possible Targaryen or Blackfyre in the books and show as well. There's a lot of theories about that. And despite this new episode being show-only material, and it doesn't really introduce anything too new, I think it helps to confirm or at least shine a better light on those theories, and I want to take a second look at those theories as well, surrounding Varys' lineage and what it could mean for the show. I mean, I think Kinvara definitely has a big interest in Varys, and you know, how did she find out about all that stuff that happened to him? Like, I don't think he expected that at all. So, there's a lot we don't know about Varys, but let's look at what we do know. We know he was a boy in Essos, performing with a troop of mummers, and we also know that he was sold to a sorcerer for a high price, who used his manhood for blood magic. Varys describes that experience below. One day at Myr, a certain man came to our folly. After the performance, he made an offer for me that my master found too tempting to refuse. I was in terror. I feared the man meant to use me as I had heard men use small boys, but in truth the only part of me he had need of was my manhood. He gave me a potion that made me powerless to move or speak, yet did nothing to dull my senses. With a long hooked blade he sliced me root and stem, chanting all the while. I watched him burn my manly parts on a brazier. The flames turned blue, and I heard a voice answer his call, though I did not understand the words they spoke. And that's from A Clash of Kings. We also know that Varys shaves his head. Now, I'm going to take this to a different book by George R.R. Martin, or a series of short stories, which are the Dunk and Egg stories, and they take place about 100 years prior to A Game of Thrones. We meet a character named Egg, who also shaves his head. We later find out Egg was a Targaryen prince, and he shaved his head to hide his Valyrian features, mainly the silver hair, while away from his family traveling Westeros. It would be an interesting parallel to have Varys be doing the same thing in our current story. He also has a Valyrian name, which I believe makes it safe to assume that he's very likely from a Valyrian family, to say the least. I mean, why not? So, Varys could be just a common Valyrian descendant, but we know he has powerful blood in order to extract such a high price from the sorcerer in the first place, and for his blood to have helped awaken a voice from the flames. I mean, if it was R'hllor, this definitely points towards King's blood, and this still leads me to think that he's a descendant of the Targaryen line, whether directly or as a Blackfyre or maybe as a bastard. We also know that once Varys came to Westeros after making a name for himself with his knowledge and his little birds, he advised kings and knew of all the secrets of the Red Keep and those who lived within. Now, I'm sure other kings had other people in charge of intelligence and whatnot before Varys came along, but I find it hard to believe that they figured out all of the passages within the castle. Now, in A Game of Thrones, it was said that Aegon the Conqueror had commanded it built. His son Maegor the Cruel had seen it completed. Afterward, he had taken the heads of every stonemason, woodworker, and laborer who had worked on it. Only the blood of the dragon would ever know the secrets of the fortress the Dragon Lords had built, he vowed. This is talking about the Red Keep. So this could also point towards Varys being a Targaryen descendant, because he knows everything. I mean, maybe someone else before him told him, or he just had spies figure it all out, but I think that it's a little hint there, little clue. This theory being true would also add credit to Varys' motivation in the story. He keeps saying that he serves the realm, despite not having any particular familial connection that we know of in Westeros, and he doesn't seem to have any common cause with the peasants or any of the noble houses in Westeros, nor does he seem to care or really know about the issues north of the Wall with the White Walkers. So why does he work so hard to save the realm? His work with young Griff in the books, Blackfyre, Targaryen, whatever you think young Griff is, could definitely connect him to either of these noble Valyrian houses. And I personally think if he was going to be a Targaryen of Blackfyre, that he would be a Blackfyre, because he grew up in Essos, which is where the Blackfyres retreated to after their failed rebellions. And it would be a lot harder to hide his identity as a Targaryen in Westeros, when I feel the whole family of Targaryen would have been very much in the spotlight for their time as rulers. If he was born, people would know who he was, and if he came back, some people would probably recognize him. I don't know. Many people also believe Illyrio and young Griff are also Blackfyres, and Varys has been working very closely with them as well, especially in the books. And yes, he did serve the Targaryen king Aerys, but he also helped to feed him whispers, I think. He was already a paranoid guy, and I think that helped cause him to kind of go off the deep end. I don't think Varys helped his craziness at all, and maybe Varys did that to clear the way for Blackfyre to step on in. I don't know. Being a Blackfyre still gives him Kingsblood from the Targaryen lineage, and all of his knowledge to another character could be very dangerous for Varys. So the fact that Kinvara knows anything about his past is pretty scary stuff for him, I think. And yes, he's been helping Dany too, and she's Targaryen, but I think, if he can't get a Blackfyre, I guess Targaryen's the next best thing, especially against a Lannister or a Baratheon. So what else could this mean? What could this mean for the story? I think the fact that this Red Priestess knows of his story could imply that she knows of his Kingsblood, if this theory is true. Varys clearly looks very worried in the scene between him, Tyrion, and the Red Priestess while this is all being revealed. And I believe that his fear of blood magic could be strengthened now if the Red Priestess knows of his Kingsblood. She definitely thinks Dany is the prince who was promised. She said that. Could Varys be used again as a sacrifice to the Red God to help Dany's quest? Will his Blackfyre ancestry be revealed to Dany and cause her to mistrust his actions? And there are so many implications here. Kinvara says knowledge has made you powerful, but there is still so much you don't know. And she also says if you are a true friend to Dany, then you have nothing to fear from her. So, her being Kinvara. And if he sacrifices himself with blood magic to help Dany, then he would be helping her, so he shouldn't be afraid of that happening. I don't know. So, what do you guys think this means for Varys and the storyline to come? I know a lot of this theory delves into tinfoil territory, but I'd love to hear what you think in the comments if you have anything to add or anything to dispute. I love theorizing, and I love talking about all the different possibilities. So yeah, let me know.